My name is Espen Sogn. Currently, I'm the head of studio of my own company called Jotun Games. My last sort of, let's say, commercial title was at Guerrilla Games, where I was the lead living world designer. And I had my own team where we took care of everything to do with NPCs in the Horizon games. For my own company, I'm making a strategy title, which is a mix of XCOM style combat with some roguelite elements in a dark fantasy setting. Strategy games have always been my main passion. I play a lot of games, and that's always been, I would say, 99% of all the time I spend is on the turn-based games, basically, right? And as much as I loved working for Guerrilla, it's very unlikely that they're going to make one of those games anytime soon, right? So I decided to try and make one myself. It's really early times, but I'm very proud of visually what we managed to achieve. It's already, I think, a really beautiful game. You can check it out at jotungames.com if you want. I feel happy that my 20 years in games development in AAA actually just has enabled me to kind of like actually move pretty fast and put together something with basically very, very little resources. So I suppose that's the thing I'm the most proud of, yeah. Theophanis asked me to do a talk, and it was a very short notice. So first I was really kind of scratching my head a little bit about, okay, what can I do? You know, writing a talk is actually quite a lot of work. But then he said he wanted a lot of media and a lot of, things to show off kind of thing. And also he wanted it to be inspiring because the games industry is new here in Greece, and, it's good to kind of make people dream a little bit, right? So I figured, okay, I'll just do a little walkthrough of everything that I've done in my career, basically. So I start with the very beginning, like when I worked on some TV shows and some movies, and then quickly start over when I started working in AAA video game development. And I think put it this way, it's the kind of thing that I would enjoy watching when I was a student, because it was always fun to watch like professionals, talk about the stuff that they were doing on a daily basis. Another thing, of course, for me is a very nostalgic thing, because I got to relive a lot of the moments over the last more than 20 years, actually, the last 25 years, actually. And I think finally, one other thing that I hadn't thought about in the beginning, but it's actually pretty fun about the talk, is that you see the development from how games look like literally in 2004 and how it ended up. Because one thing about Guerrilla, though, is that they've always been cutting edge and at the forefront of visuals. So you can really see how graphics, for example, have developed over the course of those years, and what was considered to be, cutting edge or really good, at any point in time. So yeah, what I want to get out of the Game Developers Meetup in Larissa is hopefully that people come away from it feeling inspired, which is, was my mission really, and why I was invited as well, I think. And I also hope to meet up with Greek developers as well. Also because I love meeting people, and I think that our video games community is usually just full of lovely people. But of course, so the other side of it is that, who knows, I'm also looking for collaborators for the future and things like that. So I'm always looking out for people that I would like to work with as well. So I have a couple of different, reasons, I should say. The differences between AAA and the indie scene is actually, a lot of it is about the size, right? So there are a lot of good things about working in a AAA company. And one of them is, of course, that you have enormous resources, right? And you work together with hundreds of other people. And of course, because in particular, like big AAA studios, they have the money to hire basically the best people in the world. So you always get to really learn from the best people in the business. So that's all really, really cool. And of course they have other resources as well. Usually they have a cantina, free food, and and they help you move. And finally, I would say, paychecks are usually higher than they are in the indie scene, right? So these are all great things about AAA. But I would say that the drawbacks and conversely, like the good part of indie, is that in a really big company, you don't have a lot of influence about what you're making. It's very much more like a regular job. You know, you go to the office, you do your task, and then you go home, and that's kind of it. So it's whereas, of course, in a small company, you have a much bigger stake. You have a much bigger say in each decision. And another thing actually to think about is. When you start out in a company, you also happen to be one of the first people there, kind of thing. So if this company happens to become something bigger, you are one of the founding people there. And let's say it turns into a AAA company later or something like that, you will be one of the top 3 people in that company. And you still will have the big slice of the cake, so to speak, right? In particular, I guess, like for somebody who's new as a student, for example, right? There's like the things I would focus on there, kind of thing, is that indeed, like, if you can get a job at a AAA company, fantastic. It's like there's 2 things. Like, it looks fantastic on your CV. Like, people that might hire you in the future as well. We're all humans. If it's like a big company or a famous project or something like that, they're gonna look at your stuff a little bit more with more interest. It's just how it works. And also, like I mentioned, because there are so many really high-level people that work in these companies. You have the chance to learn from incredibly experienced people. So those are very, very good things. I would say, though, if you're just about to finish school, for example, it's also a unique time in your life. Like, you don't really have the kind of expenses you have later on in life. You don't have a family and stuff like that you have to support, and maybe you live very cheaply somewhere, maybe with your parents even, and so on and so forth. And you also happen to be surrounded by many other people, and some of them are hopefully your friends, that also really want to make a game or something like that. So it's actually, if you have a really good idea, like one of you has come up with a game that the group really feel strongly about, I would say go for it. Like, that is it's an opportunity that's probably not going to come back again, kind of thing, right? The other side of that, I would say, if all you want to do is just start a company and do a game, but you're not sure what exactly it is, then I would skip it, because it's very, very hard as well. Like, that's another thing that to kind of remember, that going out alone, so to speak, and trying to start your company is very, very, very difficult. And yeah. So I've only hired animators and designers at my previous job, but this probably applies to anybody, right? So, well, obviously the first sort of sorting is with skill. You want to see, is the animation real? Does it look good, kind of thing? And and it's once you've watched 1,000 animation reels, it goes pretty fast. Like, you can tell if somebody has something, But then once you have that group, and you go like, okay, these are possible candidates. Before I would put anybody in an interview, I would actually, at least when I was at Gorilla, and when there were hundreds of people there, I would actually just email around and ask people, hey, I'm thinking about, did you guys go to this school, for example, that these guys went to? Does somebody know this person, And the reason for that really is just that I want to get a better idea of who this person is, personality-wise, right? And this is also why I would say big tip that I got when I was in school is really, okay, of course, work hard in your projects and all that kind of stuff, but that's really the second most important thing. The most important thing you can do is to go out, meet up with your friends, go to parties, and don't be an ass. Just be nice to everybody, and make friends, because you never know. Because I would ask the interns as well, you know what I mean? If it was like for a junior position, and they would go like, yeah, I went to school with this guy, super nice, and then that would mean something, because in the end, it's not just the skills, it's also if you can fit in the team, and if you're going to cause a disruption, or if you're going to harmonize with everybody, and then a lot of times, if people just like being around you, that's actually a pretty important thing. I think the one thing that isn't pointed out enough, kind of thing, is just that, just be nice to people, make friends. Another thing, I guess, when you're starting out, this is more like one of those things that can be annoying for the more senior staff when we get very junior people, right? One thing to remember, the other side of it is that you might be the best student in your whole school, right? But when you start there, nobody hired you to be the new principal designer or something like that, right? It's like you're a junior, and it's kind of like, and I know it comes from this is not me saying like, oh, just shut up or something like that. It's not that, that's not what I mean. It's more like, I think juniors sometimes feel the pressure that they are supposed to deliver more than what is expected. That's actually the key of what I'm saying. It's really, actually less about arrogance, and I think more about just being nervous and feeling like, oh, I need to have an opinion about every single thing, or I need to kind of show the depth of my knowledge by pointing out everything that's going on or something like that, right? And that can be sort of like, I think, tiresome for seniors sometimes, because you're just doing so, okay, here's the plan, and then you don't want to hear, oh, but what about, you know what I mean? It's something like that. It's like, I get it, we thought about it. Not always. Sometimes, if it's a really good idea, maybe, we'll change something. But it's, yeah. Sorry, it's sort of my point is really, you can speak up, of course, but it's not expected that you need to be sort of alpha person there kind of thing when you start. In fact, the main criteria somebody wants out of an intern or a very junior thing is that you understand a task, and that you can do that task basically very quickly and efficiently. And it's not about like showing off your skills in some kind of thing, because it's sort of rare actually that people can understand instructions and then just deliver, and that's it actually. And then later on you can sort of grow into sort of like more of a leader or something like that if you want, but yeah.